you doing there, folks? Baters here with another video for you all. Today we're gonna look at the Mothman in Fallout 76 and get all up in his giblets, you know? Like, what's his deal? Is he just a creepy man bird or something? Or maybe he's something far more sinister. So if giant bugs that like to perv on people really tickle your ball bags, then buckle up because you're in for a real treat. We're gonna look at everything from what the Mothman is to how he's portrayed in Fallout 76. And even, maybe, how you kill this slippery son of a bitch if he gets a little too rambunctious. So go ahead and break out your VHS copy of Dirty Dancing, and let's get to Averagebating, baby! Now, the Mothman is a mysterious being that really draws the line between the paranormal and the pervy. He's a popular creature in West Virginian folklore, known for his big, bulgy eyes and his creepy ability to just stare at people. The first Mothman reports seem to date from the mid-1960s. Mothman has been sighted many places in Virginia and West Virginia, but the largest number of sightings happened in or near a place known as the TNT area, which is an abandoned ammunition dump dating from World War II that is near Point Pleasant, West Virginia. He was reportedly seen in the Point Pleasant area like a lot from November 12, 1966 to December 15, 1967. These sightings were published in a local newspaper, which was picked up by a national newspaper, then turned into a book, then that book was turned into a movie starring Richard Gere and a tube of chapstick. Now, there have been multiple sightings of the Mothman and supernatural events related to the sightings, most of which occurring leading up to the collapse of the Silver Bridge. Reports state that at least 100 people saw the Mothman, with many more afraid to report their sightings. Probably because the Mothman has a large tattoo on his left shoulder that just reads, "Snitches get stitches." I know I wouldn't say shit. Now, there were also reports of 55 sightings of the Mothman in Chicago during 2017. Apparently, he was just walking around in a long trench coat, and when people looked at him, he would open the trench coat and show people his dick, and then he would run off into the shrubs screaming, "I'm the Mothman!" No, he didn't actually do any of that stuff. He just did normal paranormal shit, like floating around and scaring the tits off of people. Now, there have been a lot of sightings of the Mothman, but a couple of those sightings actually really caught my attention. For instance, 2 volunteer firemen who saw it said it was a large bird with big red eyes. Mason County Sheriff George Johnson commented that he believed the sightings were due to an unusually large heron he termed a shitepoke. I don't even know what that means. Probably translates to a really big fucking bird. Contractor Newell Partridge told Johnson that he aimed a flashlight at the creature in a nearby field and its eyes glowed like bicycle reflectors. And he also blamed buzzing noises from his television set and the disappearance of his German Shepherd dog on the creature. Because why wouldn't you, right? You see a big, ominous creature in the dark. I mean, it clearly stole your dog, obviously. Furthermore, wildlife biologist Dr. Robert L. Smith at West Virginia University told reporters that descriptions and sightings all fit the sandhill crane, a large American crane almost as high as a man, with a 7-foot wingspan, featuring circles of reddish coloring around the eyes, and that the bird may have wandered out of its migration route. You think? Now, this particular crane was unrecognized at first because it was not native to the region. I mean, it all makes sense. But I don't believe that fancy doctor, though. No, sirree Bob. If that was me, I'd say to that wildlife biologist, I'd say, "Oh yeah, doctor? A crane? Really? How many fucking cranes do you know that can see into the future? Or sabotage a bridge? Or star in a Richard Gere movie? Fucking none, that's how many. None. It's obvious it's a fucking mutant or an alien. Those are the only explanations that add up here, doctor. So why don't you take your fancy book learning and start an internet blog called I Don't Know Shit?" Alright, that might have gotten away from me a bit. Now, many people have many different theories as to what the Mothman really is. Some think he's an evil ghost or an apparition, while others think he might be a creature that can peer into the future and tries to warn people before disaster strikes. I just think he's a giant bird that got fed up with people eye-banging his brethren. So he thought, why not turn the tables on those pervy humans? Think about it, bird watching is the only vocation on Earth where you can stand 10 feet away from something and eyeball the shit out of it with the binocs, and people don't call you a psycho. You've even got people who love birds so much they watch them bathe in their backyard. They even buy them these fancy bird baths so that they can gawk at them from their kitchen window and say shit like, that's it, you dirty blue jay. Scrub your unmentionables for daddy. Ah. So maybe, just maybe, the Mothman wants to creep people out the same way that people have been creeping birds out for years. I'm just spitballing here, people. Just spitballing, you know? Throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks. Now, in West Virginian folklore, the Mothman is described as a bipedal winged avian humanoid with owl-like traits. Now that sounds an awful lot like my ex-girlfriend, if I'm being honest. Now, his coloration varies from black to gray to even brown or white, although it's usually the darker shades. He is often reported to be about 7 feet tall with a wingspan of about 10 to 15 feet or more, plus the ability to fly over 100 miles per hour. Are you still having trouble really grasping the size of this thing, people? Well, here's a picture of Shaquille O'Neal. And here's a picture of Shaquille O'Neal standing next to Kevin Hart. And here's a picture of Shaquille O'Neal with big old red eyes. Yeah, are you starting to get the picture? It's terrifying, isn't it? The Mothman is like a creepy Shaq with giant eyes. I don't know about you guys, but that makes me want to shut the blinds. Now sometimes, just sometimes, the Mothman is described as not having a head, with 2 huge red eyes set in the middle of its chest. But we're gonna go ahead and just assume that those eyewitnesses were just having a bad trip on LSD. Because how the fuck does it not have a head? If it doesn't have a head, how would it wear hats and shit? I mean, that's just ludicrous, people. Ludicrous. Now, the details of his face and his feet have never been adequately described. One witness who saw the face clearly could only say that the details were horrible and monstrous. Apparently, she had terrible nightmares and nearly suffered a nervous breakdown, which is the same thing that happened to me after I saw Lindsay Lohan without any makeup. It's terrifying. It's fucking terrifying. Anyone who gets a close look at the Mothman seems to suffer from extreme fear and psychological distress. Ever had a moth fly in your hair really fucking hard at night, and then you freak out uncontrollably? Well, it's like that, just times 1,000, I guess. People have apparently said that a sense of pure evil overcomes them when they see the Mothman's eyes, which is exactly how I feel when I see a sign in the park that says, "Don't feed the ducks." Why else would I come here with a big floppy loaf of bread? Why, park? Why? Explain it! Now, the Mothman can fold his wings and walk with a weird shuffle that many witnesses compare to a penguin, which is borderline bully behavior, if I'm being honest. Good going, eyewitnesses, you're a bunch of dicks. He is rarely observed flapping his wings except for on takeoff. Witnesses often describe his flight pattern as straight up like a helicopter. And funny enough, those same witnesses describe helicopter flight patterns as moth-like. Coincidence? I think not. Mothman can fly much faster than any bird should be able to fly, as he's been known to chase cars. He'll fly in front of them and even sometimes hit the roof and yell shit like, "Slow down, you're drunk, Tony!" I'm just kidding about that last part. He doesn't say anything. So needless to say, the Mothman is a pretty prominent figure in West Virginia and a really interesting part of their folklore. So obviously, Bethesda featured the Mothman in Fallout 76. In Fallout 76, the Mothman is a creature found in Appalachia in 2102. It has its own museum dedicated towards its mythology, which is fitting, seeing as how there is an actual Mothman museum in West Virginia. I haven't been, but I heard it's got exhibits and shit. Now, the Mothman is also worshipped by the cult of the Mothman, which is a pre-war faction in Fallout 76. Apparently, the cult of the Mothman had been worshipping the Mothman in secret since long before the Great War. You know, stealing lockets of its hair and sniffing them before they went to bed at night. You know, real harmless shit. However, on October 22nd, 2077, only a day before nuclear Armageddon was unleashed across the world, the cult conducted a ritual to summon the Mothman. Probably dancing in circles, throwing oranges at a dead raccoon or something. You know, real cult-style ritual shit. One member, identified as Brother Charles, claimed that the ritual succeeded and the Mothman had warned him of a terrible flood that would occur the next day that could only be survived by reaching high ground. The cult took his warning seriously and informed it to the other members, which inevitably saved them. Now, this piece of information shows the perspective that Bethesda took when portraying the Mothman. Instead of portraying him as a vindictive crane with a bad attitude, they went the Mothman prophecies route and depict the creature as a mythological purveyor of future events. Sort of like a good guy, if you will. Now, there are 3 types of variants of the Mothman in Fallout 76 that you will be able to interact with. The first type is just your plain Jane Mothman, you know? He's just your regular creepy big-eyed Mothman guy, you know? He puts his pants on one creepy bird leg at a time, just like the rest of us. The second variant is called the Stalker Mothman, which is a lot like the normal Mothman, except he'll follow you home at night. And the only way to get rid of him is with a restraining order and a neighbor that knows karate. So, yeah, there's that. So needless to say, the Stalker Mothman is a bit of a stronger variant. The final Mothman is called the Wise Mothman. The Wise Mothman can be seen after completing the event at the lighthouse, where the player character needs to collect bioluminescence from the fireflies. If the event is completed, the Wise Mothman will appear and give the player character a 5% experience points boost for the next hour. Now, the Mothman in Fallout 76 also has a large detection radius as well, meaning he's gonna see you coming from a mile away. The Mothman also has 3 different eye colors: purple for passive, yellow for caution, and red for attacking. So he's a lot like a traffic light. Except if you saw a Mothman traffic light, you'd probably be all like, what the fuck is wrong with that traffic light? And what does purple mean? Should I go? Do I stay here? What do I do? Now, the Mothman is generally a passive creature in Fallout 76, even going as far as to almost be a benefit to the player. Generally, sightings of the Mothman are random, however they occur more frequently near the Mothman Museum. The Mothman will eventually just gawk at your giblets from a distance, then when you approach him, he'll just fly off, you know, as mythological beings do. Bethesda clearly liked the idea of keeping the Mothman's motives ambiguous, and so therefore he's a creature that's not actively aggressive. I'm sure if you kicked him in his giant mutant eyeballs though, he'd fucking throw down. And my guess is he can kick some ass, so do so at your own peril. Now, the Mothman is by far one of the most fascinating creatures in West Virginian folklore, and Bethesda has done a great job making him equally mysterious and fascinating in Fallout 76. I don't know about you guys, but I'm eager to get out there and poke him in one of his gigantic eyeballs just to see what happens. Thanks again for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to bitch slap that subscribe button like it's 3 weeks behind on your rent. Bitch! Where's the money, bitch? Where's the money? Where is it? Also, go ahead and hit that bell icon too, because apparently YouTube thought there should be extra steps. Why not, right?
I'd like to subscribe, but first I have to click this and do this. Oh, it needs an email. All right, and this. Okay, fuck. Just tell me when he's uploading. Fuck!
Once you do all that, if you're lucky, at the stroke of midnight, a tiny little Averagebaters fairy might come and tickle your butthole. Now, I hope to see you all again next time, and remember to keep on average baiting, baby.